Hi there, welcome to this code flow tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be talking more about HTML images. Let's go. So we've got a lot of things to talk about when we talk about HTML images. This episode, like this aspect, deserves a whole new episode. We could have just merged it with the videos and the audios, but it has like different tags, different separate stuff and stuff like that. So right now, let's try and create an image. I hope you still some your website files and you've got your Visual Studio Code ready. Let's go. So right here, we're gonna create a bit of space and let's create the comment. Making an HTML image. HTML image. And how do we make an HTML image? We use the tag img. Okay, img, and once we close this, you're not going to see any closing tag because that's just how the HTML element is. Now in the img, we have some attributes to help us to detect the image we're going to be using. So in this kind of tutorial, we're going to be adding some images to it in order to make it look a bit lively. So go to pictures, maybe your pictures on your system, and I've got some few stock images of agriculture. I'm going to be copying those images and go back to that folder and my website project folder, and I got some images right here, and I'm going to add it to this guy because this guy has been used too much. And so this is it. So right now let's talk about the image, okay? The image as a whole. So how do we actually write a bit of an attribute to identify the image? We use the file path as usual, src. And once we use the src, we can actually state where the image is, okay? I think I can actually just copy a bit of those guys, okay? I think these guys, they can help me to reduce the stress. And I just have to press slash, and I think I get my images. I think you get the hang of this, right? It's just the same link, but I don't want to go through the long way. Press hash. You can now, if you're looking for a way to copy this link, sometimes you can actually just come here, come to where your images are, and you can press option copy address as text, or just copy address. Okay, that should help you a bit. So right now, okay, this is working quite well. So images, and you put a slash, and we should have selected an image earlier. Select image, and I think I have an architecture image. I'm going to choose the architecture image, and also we have an attribute known as the alt, and this alt stands for as a way to tell people that okay, there was once an image here. This is an image. You didn't see, yeah. Okay, that's just to tell people that this was an image you didn't see. Okay, so once we save this and we go to Chrome and we preview this, okay, we scroll down and we can see this entire image right there. So that's how to create a very, very simple image. Okay, so yeah, that's to create it, and we have this also to display just in case the image does. So we've actually created a very simple image. That's very easy. But if you kind of notice yourself, we score that the image is taking like, oh my god, this is too much. Okay, okay, number one, the house is fine, but number two, the house is too big. So how do we actually adjust that? We have two major ways of adjusting that. I will talk about much of that in the next episode, which is HTML styles. So definitely we're going to talk about that in that particular part. But right now, let's give you a bit of an intro into how you can do that. We can actually style things in HTML using the style attributes. Okay, so let's try and use the style attribute first to style it before we now actually use the width and the height attribute to even style it itself. I'm going to tell you the reason why one is more preferable than the other. Okay, so we're going to use the style attribute. Let's make the style attribute to resize it's a style, and I want a width. Okay, and in the width height I want 500 pixels, and give it a bit of a space. I want in the height I want 600 pixels, and that's just how to save it. 600 pixels. Okay, And I think that's just all for now. Okay, so we can actually save this. Okay, and once we go back to our Chrome and we preview this, we discover that the image size has been adjusted. Okay, has been adjusted. And just so you know, the img is an inline element, just for you to know that, because it doesn't create the image on the next page, but instead on the same line, just as the audio right here. So you get the hang of it like that. That's an inline element. And so we have actually used the style to adjust the width and the height of the image. Let's try and use the width and the height property of the HTML itself. Okay, so I'm going to be copying this, and I'm going to paste this. I don't think I'll be able to see much of what goes on here. Okay, it's still there. And I want to remove the style. I want to remove this style attribute and add in width. And we can add in height. Okay, height 600 px, and let's save this. Okay, and once we go back to Chrome and we'll preview this, okay, you come down a bit and you can see that we've actually adjusted it just the same way. I mean, we can literally use style to adjust it, and we can also use the width and the height attribute to adjust this guy. That's just how simple it is. Okay, but anyway, why do we actually use style or width, or how do we actually use them? We actually say we should actually use style because of it prevents the style sheets from changing the size of the images, from altering the real size of the image. Okay, so that is why we actually prefer to use style, using the style attribute rather than the width attribute. Okay, and yeah, we've talked about we've gotten images from other folders, but what if we want to fetch an image from a link? How do we do things like that? We want to fetch an image from a link. We use the img, and we use the src, and from the src we can write our link, the link where we want to fetch the image from .com/pixel. Okay, I know this doesn't exist, but anyway, it's gonna work. It's not gonna work because pixel.jpg. Okay, .jpg. Okay, just as this is just I'm using this as an example, and I really want to use alt, and I want to type W3 schools. Okay, fake images. So we know that this is not definitely, the link is not real, but just writing something like this and fetching that, maybe fetch the image from Pexels or Pixabay and pasting it right here can help you to fetch the image from that particular link to attach to your site. Okay, and also please be very careful, some images might be under copyright, so if you don't get permission to use it, you might violate copyright laws and you will not be in control of the external image. Okay, so that part. And also in HTML images, sometimes we also use animated images, and so it depends on how you want to use the animated image. Okay, I can decide to use an animated image. I don't have any GIF animated images, I mean like GIF, but just in case you found a GIF to use. Okay, I mean, if I add this, maybe architecture just GIF, okay, it will actually work. Just even if your image is a GIF, it's going to really work. So that's how we've managed to fetch an image from a link. But also we can actually use an image as a link, as we've said earlier. I mean, this is how to we've tested that right here. Okay, this is how to use an image as a link. Let's copy this. Let's copy, and we're going to paste this right here. I'm going to shift us backwards a bit, and right here. And once we save this, okay, I'm going to actually delete this because if I don't, the website is going to have some bit of an error because this clearly doesn't exist. But anyway, never mind. It's just gonna not load it. Let's save this, and if we open our Google Chrome and we preview this, we're gonna find some. See, they're not going to open. But since they are not going to open, we have seen the alternate text right here. You can see the function of the alt text right here, as you can see. And here we have the small image. And if you click on the image, you can see right below there, you can see parachaos.blogspot.com. If I click it, I enter into the website. So basically, that's all about HTML images. I mean, just imagine if I merge this with the video and the audio, it would have actually been very much. So that's why we had to create a special episode for it. So that's all about HTML images. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about HTML styles. We're going to teach you the basic way of styling things in HTML. And maybe a bit of, we're going to have to create our first CSS file. So get ready for the CSS part. We're going to actually be loading it into this folder. So we'll talk more about that in the next tutorial. Thank you.